Now, as I said in that intro, the events of that attack in Idlib, the images of the children being gassed, once again have evoked reaction from all over the world. What is it about those particular images, from a photographer's point of view, that evokes that kind of image? Why those and not others?
You know, it's interesting because I've been photographing war for almost 20 years and I can barely look at those images. And I myself have taken images, of course not that dramatic, but I've taken images of children dying, of children at death's door, and it's very difficult for me to look at those pictures. And I think that there's a particular resonance with pictures of children, because everyone knows that children are innocent. It is impossible to have a question about whether children have done anything to merit that sort of death.
What is it that you do as a photographer? Do you specifically go out and look for an image like that is going to evoke sympathy around the world?
Well, I think that most of us are in war zones. We are documenting what's happening day after day for as long as we're there. We are looking for images that will resonate with people. We want people to care and to pay attention to what's happening. When you see pictures of mass casualties, particularly of civilians, that is something that we know is a war crime. We understand that it is illegal to just kill civilians for no reason. And so I think that those are the pictures we're looking for, because we know they're civilians and we know they're innocents who are losing their lives.
Lynsey, how long do images like this resonate? Because it feels, at least from a journalist's point of view, that there is a lot of reaction initially from the press and others, and then within a few weeks people forget, they move on. I mean, would you agree? Is that your assessment?
I mean, I hope people don't forget these images. It's infuriating, and it's so sad to see these pictures of children. I think that all photographers, anyone, any war correspondent, anyone who has risked their lives to get these pictures, we hope that they'll sit in the minds of people and it'll inspire politicians and people in positions of power to do something. The goal is to get people to act. So for the last few days, politicians, we've seen the UN, we've seen people come together, they've talked about the chemical attack, they've talked about the deaths of children and women, but what will they do? The big question is, what will happen now? Will they actually take action? Will it finally happen? We saw the images of Aylan Kurdi, the little boy who was washed up on the Turkish shore, and for a minute that sort of caused a splash and people paid attention and they talked about, you know, Syrians fleeing for their lives and fleeing from Turkey to Greece, and then nothing happened, and then there was no resolution. So what will happen now?
How frustrating is that for you, given what you do?
It's extraordinarily frustrating, because I think that any one of us, we risk our lives knowing or hoping that it can make a difference. And I think that when we see this paralysis, when we see this political paralysis, and we see people not responding or not coming up with some sort of solution to stop the war, it's infuriating.
Lynsey, well, one really hopes that this time might be different. I really appreciate you joining us here on TRT World. Lynsey Addario, Pulitzer Prize-winning photojournalist.